Welcome to Spinning Back Clique, where each week here at MMA Junkie, we take a quick spin through the biggest headlines in the sport. And COVID-19 be damned, we're back, albeit from different locations. But I'm putting Gorgeous George and Goze on the clock as usual. So let's get started. Guys, the UFC is back, and it's not just one event. We're going to have 3 fight cards in the course of a week, all taking place in Jacksonville, Florida. Fight fans certainly got to be rejoicing. We're getting our favorite sport back, and that's big. But we are still battling this pandemic around the globe, so it's still a strange time in the world at large. So let's just ask, how are you feeling about having fights back and something to look forward to next week? Let's put 3 minutes on the clock and start with you, George.
Guys, a lot has changed in the last week, and I think it just has to do with the fact that as the pandemic has unfolded, for one, we've reached that little apex, and I think there's some downward, trajectory. And that just goes for the United States, the world, especially in Nevada. Nevada's done very well. So, yeah, I'm feeling now better about the UFC going out there and putting on this event, along with how serious I know they are going to take it in terms of, isolating their athletes, pretty much for the exception of when they have to fight. I feel a lot better. I mean, it's been a whole week since the last time we did Spinning Back Clique and other kind of media that we do or whatever. And even looking back, you just see that you have more information at hand. So now that's also one more week that I've been removed from actual fights from Brasilia. So yeah, I'm loving it. I'm really, really into it. I like the fact that they announced 3 cards. We already know our main events and things are just looking better. Plus I really tried to change things up last week and just focus on the positivity and the glass being half full. So yeah, I am pumped. I'm ready to go, and I just keep hoping we hear more announcements and the summer unfolds like we said it would. I did say July 1st. I thought would be a target date where we were just going to unleash a fury of events across all of the promotions. Of course, we know PFL won't participate, but still the other ones will.
Goze, how about you? I mean, fights are back. Now, we understand in all aspects of life, normal is not normal anymore, right? I mean, as George said, there's going to be precautions. Things are going to be done differently. But what do you think? I mean, can you separate yourself from, the responsibilities of what we need to change? Is it just fun? I mean, are we going to be able to just enjoy these fights, do you think?
I think we will be able to enjoy them. I think the only thing that has changed for me, I'm very excited that we have fights now. But I started to notice that the one thing that was lacking early on that kind of had me upset was just details. And now that the UFC has been a little bit more forthcoming with details of how they're going to do things, now you don't have to worry about things like the reputation of the sport. You know that they're taking it serious. They're talking a little bit more about Fight Island and how they're going to keep people safe. That's all we wanted in the beginning, was those types of details to make us feel good about what's going to happen, because as much as we want to see people fight, we want to see people be safe at the same time. So now that we know things are going to be safe, we know USADA is going to have a role in all this. Now it's just fingers crossed, guys. It really comes down to, if there was no coronavirus, it's tough to put on cards. Let's be honest. Fighters have to make weight. Like I said, there's USADA. There's injuries. Let's hope we get through that. Let's hope we get through all the added stuff that coronavirus gives us. And let's just hope that we have some good fights, man, because I can't wait for some sort of sports. And I love fights, so I can't wait to get this all rolling.
No doubt, man. We got to get sports back. And, I agree with you. Transparency. Let's make sure the UFC is continuing to push for transparency. I think that helps a lot. So, all right, listen, we've talked a lot about the main event at UFC 249, but the co-main event, Henry Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz. Now, Cejudo's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, he told me this past week that if Cejudo wins, he still wants the original fight, which was supposed to be Jose Aldo. But, man, Bantamweight is absolutely stacked right now. There's so many legitimate contenders. So I want to ask you guys, I mean, big names certainly, but are we okay with this Legends tour that Cejudo is on, even if it means he's skipping a top contender or two, or do you wish things were panning out a little bit different? Let's put 2 minutes on the clock and start with you, Goze.
I'm really not okay with it. I understand 100%, and I don't blame him for trying to do this. I know what he's trying to do. Remember, Henry Cejudo could go down not just as one of the greatest of all times in MMA, but just combat athletes in general, when you add in your gold medal and all that. So what he wants are skins on the wall. He wants to be able to, years from now when we're having these debates, to go through his list and say, wow, that was a former champion. That was another former champion. Here's another one. He wants that. He wants big names. And I understand why he wants that. But at the same time, we can't have other fighters fighting for no pot at the end of the rainbow. That's not fair to them. They're young, exciting fighters. There's a lot of them in this division. They need to have a chance to come out and show us what they have and a chance at winning gold. And don't sleep on Dominic Cruz. Like we talk about Jose Aldo afterwards, Dominic Cruz, he had a long layoff, came back and showed us what time it was. So it's a tough matchup, but I don't blame Henry Cejudo for doing it. We can't let him do it, though.
Yeah, definitely, man. He wants those skins on the wall. What about you, George? I mean, building that type of resume would be amazing, but you look at guys like Sterling, you look at Jan, Sandhagen's out there. Even Marias wants another crack at it. What do you think? I mean, are you okay if he stays on this Legends tour?
No, I think when they were going to Brazil, okay, I guess I started to make some sense out of it. I understood UFC 250 was going to happen there, and there's something to the whole marketing of a pay-per-view. But no, now that it's Dominic Cruz, I think the winner should not face Jose Aldo. I think the winner should face, I think by then Sterling's going to go from his 70% from about a month ago to close to 100%, or at least enough to probably not pass up the opportunity to fight for a world title fight. What I would tell Henry Cejudo is, hey, Henry, do you remember when you went 10-0 and you beat Jussier Formiga in a split decision and you got the first shot at Demetrius Johnson? Well, what if Demetrius Johnson had said, nah, I kind of always wanted to fight legends. And at the time, John, we went to those fights at Tachi Palace. Jussier was a legend. He was the number one guy at flyweight. So that wouldn't have sat too well with him. He's got to remember, as a champion, he's got duties too.
George is on his own Legends tour, just taking as much time as he wants to. No, listen, I like it as well. I agree with Aldo, man. No disrespect to Aldo, he's absolutely a legend, but the Brazil thing made sense. Now it doesn't. I got less of a problem with Dominic, to be honest with you, jumping in there even after the time away. But we'll see how it all pans out, man. Bantamweight is exciting. Well, listen, talking about all these legends, Pat Miletich is apparently looking to book a kickboxing fight with former boxing champ Michael Nunn. Now he's 52 years old, but Miletich could certainly kick all of our asses. But let me ask you, as a viewer, are you anxious to watch this? Is this a fight that you're into as kind of the fan side of you, so to speak? Let's put 2 minutes on the clock. Start with you, George.
The other day, Goze and I did some fight simulations, broadcasting there for Sportscaster. And believe it or not, we were actually into Aldo versus Anthony Pettis. That's a fight that was supposed to happen and never did. And they went at it in the video game. Now, what helped was we haven't had much sports in front of us, so I think we would have been excited over anything. I was into horse the other day, on ESPN, for crying out loud. But look, both guys are in their 50s. I've just seen a lot of these not work out like they're supposed to. So I'm definitely not pumped up about it. But I'll tell you what helps, guys. Just find out what the odds are. Put something on the fight, and trust me, you'll be on the edge of your seat. The good thing is it's a hybrid card where they're meeting in the middle a little bit. The fight's not really going to hit the ground, but at least Pat Miletich can throw some kicks. So they're both from Quad Cities. Let's see what kind of stakes. Maybe the winner gets a little statue at Quad City City Hall or something like that. Maybe that'll make it more exciting.
Okay, so for at least the degenerates out there, there's something to tune into. I like it. Goze, how about you? I mean, Pat Miletich is certainly a legend, and the guy's out there like running ultra marathons in his spare time. What do you think? Where's your excitement level for seeing something like this?
My excitement's probably at a little right now. I'm intrigued just because, Michael Nunn is a boxer from my generation, and he went away for a long time. Now he's back. Pat Miletich, another fighter from my generation. So I'm excited somewhat to watch it, but I can't figure out if it's because we're in the middle of this pandemic. And like George said, the more that sports start to return, the more that MMA starts to return, I would say maybe there's a good possibility that my interest level goes from little to none. No pun intended. But I love the fact that it will be kickboxing. Last time we saw crossover, it was Conor going over to boxing, and that's just not going to work out. At least this is something in the middle that can pique our interest a little bit.
Even without Simon Head, we still get a pun worked in. I like that, man. Yeah, you're right. I think my level of concern would really be for Nunn. I have no concern at all that Miletich is going to be in shape and willing to fight, and be able to perform. I think it would just be, how does Nunn look? Because I'll be honest, I really don't know. All right, Bellator, listen, they're not quite as willing to jump back in the mix as the UFC. Scott Coker said we're not going to rush back at this. They're going to do closed-door events eventually at some point as well. But in the meantime, they've been airing some of their old events on the CBS Sports Network. It kind of looks like maybe the ground is being paid for a move over to network television, maybe Bellator on CBS. What do you think, man? Watching this thing unfold, just these old events on CBS Sports, is this a big deal right now? Are we looking at something big? Let's put 2 minutes on the clock and start with you, Goze.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. CBS Sports, when you think about it, their big footprint in the world has been college sports. And college sports took a huge hit with no March Madness this year. and no baseball, a lot of stuff. So really, when you think about it, it's a network that needs programming, and Bellator is going to have a lot of it. It's going to unfold the same way the UFC is unfolding, where a lot of fights that were booked that got put off, they're going to start to fill those cards. So I think it's going to be nice. The only thing that I can think of that would be a detractor a little bit is the one complaint that a lot of people have with Bellator cards is we have so much trouble trying to figure out where they're going to be. Are they going to be on DAZN? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be live? Is it going to be on live TV? Paramount. We really never know. And it's something that even the hardcores at the last minute are like, where's it going to be again? So now you're adding CBS Sports to the mix. But I think it's going to be a good thing, and I really hope it does work out for them.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. It's tough to figure out where they're going. I mean, George, let me ask you. I mean, at one point, it's like network TV. That was the place we had to be, right? And we've had brief touches with it. And obviously, the UFC did Fox forever, and now they're gone off of it. I mean, what do you think? Is the potential of Bellator being on CBS, is this something we need to focus on right now? Is it too soon? Is it a big deal? What do you think about it?
Oh, it is a big deal if they can wind up at some point on CBS, maybe their tentpole shows or something like that. When I started reading the whole article and I saw CBS, when I saw Showtime, I mean, that really, really pumps me up because I think Strikeforce made some great strides when they were with Showtime. I think Elite XC had some eyeballs with them when they were on CBS. CBS Sports Network, it's just like Fox Sports. It started off, it's about, a decade old maybe? And I don't know that it's hit its stride yet, and it's nowhere near, obviously, where ESPN is at. So I think it's a step up, definitely, from Paramount. But excited would be Showtime and CBS for me. If they're taking steps towards that, then yeah, I'm excited. But let's get there first.
Yeah, I agree. The CBS Sports Network thing is not that big of a deal. But if it means a move to CBS and network TV, that could be a big moment for Bellator. So, all right, listen, quarantine MMA, it's making training tough. We're seeing it across the sport, but people are finding a way. Still, though, we are seeing a lot of fighters. Vince St. Preux, he's moving up to heavyweight. We've been having Israel Adesanya talk about moving up. Tyron Woodley has talked about moving up to potentially face Izzy. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a little easier for guys not to have to cut weight right now. So, with that in mind, let's put on your matchmaking hat. What is the biggest or best fight you think you can make right now that would require somebody moving up a division? Let's put 2 minutes on the clock and start with you, George.
Well, I think eventually this is kind of like a no-brainer, but I just think you got to get Valentina and Amanda Nunes back in there. Two dominant champions. And I think with one title defense each, it's time to do it. And I would like to see them in a co-main event at that stadium in Las Vegas sometime in the fall, if we can all come back vaccinated and everything like that. And that would require Valentina to move up. Now, other than that, Israel Adesanya, I was really intrigued when he said, you know what, I'm going to skip Jones and go all the way to Stipe Miocic. I was like, wow, because I thought that was such a power move, to just put Jones to the side, chase history like that. And then, I mean, I don't know. I was at a loss for words, kind of like how I am now. But when I read that, I just thought that was a real power move against John Jones. Just took everything away from him. It was like a mic drop moment. So I'd like for those to be revisited at some point.
That's funny, man. That would be a power move. Goze, what about you? Is it Adesanya? Is it Shevchenko? Is it somebody else? What's the biggest or best fight you think you can make?
Biggest fight, guys. I'm going to think a little bit outside the box here, and I am going to go with Khabib Nurmagomedov going up to 165 to face GSP. Give GSP that chance to win 3 belts and really cement his legacy. I would like to see something like that if it were possible. I'd rather see that than Conor, I'll be honest with you guys. But it would create a new division and keep things going that way. I like Izzy and Jones. It's starting to heat up. At first, I didn't like it too much, but it's starting to heat up a little bit with the trash talk and the whole Raider Stadium, Vegas, bringing things. But see, that's the thing is if you're going to do a stadium show, you need fans. And if there's no fans, that's not going to be too interesting. So I'll throw one more outside the box, guys. When Anthony Johnson comes back, he's fought at heavyweight. What if him and Francis Ngannou with Derek Lewis start throwing hands? Can you imagine that? They'd have to wear ponchos in the first row, man, to keep the blood off of them. But those are mine.
Oh man, I knew we could rely on Goze for some creativity, man. That's awesome with Rumble as well. That got me excited. I tell you, for me, it's got to be Izzy and Jones more than Jones. I know everybody talks about Jones moving up to heavyweight. I get it, that would be fun, but for me, Izzy and Jones. But yeah, man, that stadium, an empty Raiders stadium. I don't know if it'd be that exciting. We gotta get some fans in there. And for that, I guess we're gonna have to wait for a vaccine.
It'll be empty during the playoffs, that's for sure.
Shots fired. Well, listen, guys, it seems like we might finally be back to action after more than a month of absolutely nothing. So we see how it all pans out moving forward. Of course, we'll talk about it all on Spinning Back Clique.